All right. I know we have a caller on the switchboard. Would you mind taking a call and answering some questions from some of our fans? All righty. I've got a feeling I know who this particular caller is. Caller from the 217 area code. You are on live with Michael Porter, Michael Porter's WRESTLESHOOT, and SiNN. Who do we have on the line?
You know, I'm going to have to start calling restricted Porter if you keep knowing who's calling.
I've got a feeling this is my buddy James McLovin Falcon.
It is McLovin himself. And, you know, I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but I've been dealing with the grieving of the passing away of Billy Mays. So I'm pretty upset about that.
James, we're having a little bit of difficulty hearing you, so could you speak up just a little bit, please?
I said, yeah, I'm just sitting here
Speak
crying
up,
my eyes
Dave Fokker. I can't hear you, man.
I'm just sitting here crying my eyes out sarcastically because Billy Mays died.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I heard about Billy Mays passing away this morning. Quite a pitch man, But do you have any question for the original SiNN BoDHi?
I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to say what's up. I've seen him around on MySpace and stuff. Never got around to, ever talking to him on there. So I thought I'd just say what's up. And, it's good to see another face in the business, even though you scare me a little bit, but that's cool.
You're welcome, I think.
Yeah.
Don't let Porter coin you into doing some Porter belly flopping or naked.
Oh man, here he goes with that Porter belly flop again. That was your creation, not mine. Anyway, all right, James. Well, thank you so much for calling. And
get out of here, Dave Fokker. Put somebody on the phone who's got a question.
We will do that.
Let's do it.
We'll have plenty of questions for you. All right, James, we'll talk with you later. And don't forget to listen to James McLovin Falcon on blogtalkradio.com with Cloverleaf Radio. Don't you...
All right, Michael.
All right, you take care, my friend.
See you guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Later.
All right. I know we have... I had a few questions for you. It's, an anonymous source, but you probably know who it is. It was the person who put me in contact with you. So,
okay.
So she wanted to ask these questions. How did SiNN learn that he had the ability to become a human dartboard?
Well, I guess it kind of stems back to the Alex Atkinson days. Alex Atkinson was my original martial arts instructor. I grew up more as a karate brat, not as a wrestling brat. I grew up loving to watch wrestling, but both of my parents were in martial arts. Both of my parents are black belts. I've got ninjas for parents. My mom ran a karate dojo, and my father was a ranked fighter when I was a little kid.
Wow.
So a lot of the friends of the family were ranked fighters from, Europe, Canada, U.S., what have you. So I just got to train and grow up training with these different guys and just learned how to sort of take punishment. I learned a lot about breathing, learned a lot about meditation, and I guess also too, just from a natural standpoint, my dad was a ranked fighter. He was good at what he did. I guess I, got cut from a little bit of that same cloth.
Wow. It's incredible. I had no idea about your parents like that.
I always would joke with Coach DeMore, telling him that I was legitimately closer to being in the Team Canada than any of the Team Canada guys were once upon a time at TNA, because when I was first starting to wrestle, I was sort of getting out of the martial arts. I wasn't practicing it so much. I wanted to focus on pro wrestling. And I had a friend of mine who was begging me to go with him as a sparring partner to full-contact karate tryouts for the province of Ontario that would compete with the other provinces, and then the best of the best would become Team Candidates to go to the Olympics. And I was really hesitant because I wanted to go wrestle. So I didn't want to do martial arts stuff like professionally. And I somehow got suckered into going, and I was in such a bad mood. And he had promised me that I would just be sparring with him. And sure enough, the coach kind of tells us, all right, we're going to kind of, go up and down the board, and we're just going to swap partners. And I was kind of pissed. So, I basically just kicked the crap out of everybody they put in front of me, just thinking they were all tryout guys. And I was the only guy to get an invite on the team. He's like, the coach came over and was like, you know, do you want a spot? And I was like, no, not really. He goes, well, you just kind of kicked the crap out of my team. I'd like to have you on. I mean, I might not have been able to do it. I maybe mentally would have psyched myself out or something if I had known I was actually fighting with the proper team.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, and my temper was sort of getting the better of me, and that's not usually how I would fight either. I'm a very calm guy by nature. I'm a very peaceful guy. I was just in a bad mood that day.
Well, do you think that maybe somewhere down the line that you could find yourself getting into mixed martial arts a little bit more, or do you want to stick with your pro wrestling career?
I definitely want to stick with the pro wrestling. A few years ago, when they were first doing the Ultimate Fighter TV show,
yeah,
I came real close to being on the second season as their heavyweight, one of their heavyweights. They already had by the time the agent had sort of saw who I was, they liked the whole idea of having a crazy, flashy wrestler, like a pro wrestler. They thought that was sort of an interesting deal. And but by the time we sort of got around to try to sort out everything, they already had their heavyweights booked, and I didn't want to cut weight down to, down like, what was it, below like 200 or whatever, just because I didn't want that to hurt me in pro wrestling.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
that just never came to pass. But I mean, never say never. I would go do that show tomorrow if they wanted.
Yeah, because I
think it'd be fun.
Yeah, it's a great exposure, and then maybe you never can tell. Some of your former employers, shall we say, might catch a glimpse of you on there, and they might call you back. In fact, if you were to get a call back from WWE, Vince or Laurinaitis, would you be willing to change your persona if you were to be given another chance with WWE?
Yeah. I mean, I could lie and say, no, I'll do it my way, and no, I don't want to go back to those guys or whatever. No, heck yeah. I mean, WWE was my goal since I was a kid. I mean, it was my dream since I was a little kid. So of course I'd want to be there. And I mean, I'm always evolving. Like I'm an artsy guy by nature. I like to always change stuff. So for me to evolve wouldn't be putting a gun in my head. I mean, it would just be fun. It would be a different adventure,
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen, before when I started at TNA, as part of the new church.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the creepy, devilly guy. And then, that kind of morphed in and out. And by the time I got to FCW, I was sort of this more, Joker to Batman, sort of a, flashy carnival psychopath, and I've done all sorts of stuff in between. But it was all sort of more or less me, just in different moods and different tastes. So, I mean, if they wanted to revamp me from head to toe, I mean, I would just look at it as an adventure.
Yeah. Well, I've heard the stories, and I will have it come right straight from your mouth. I've heard the stories. I'm sure that a lot of my listeners have heard the stories as well. Were you a real carnival worker in some of your younger years?
Yes, I was.
You were. Okay.
I think a lot of people think that when Vince McMahon puts somebody out on TV that he has just sort of saddled them with some character or gimmick or what have you. But, I mean, if he ever does that, I don't know. But that certainly wasn't the case with me.
Well, if I don't know a whole lot of Carney, but if my recollection of Carney is correct, isn't Kazarni short, or, Carney for Carney?
Carney for Carney. Yeah, there's a stretch.
Oh, yep. Well,
I remember kind of giggling in my head. I was thinking, man, I'm such a good worker. I convinced my boss I liked that name because he came over to me when we were still, like, we had our initial sort of sit down, like the day before, Unforgiven, and we got along, and I made him laugh a little bit, and he said, okay, I really like that carnival idea. Let me think about it, and we'll see what's up. And he comes over to me the next day, and he asked me, he goes, hey, can you speak Carney? And I said, yes, I can. Oh, good. He goes, all right, you're going to do all your promos on Carney, and get this. He goes, your name is going to be Carney for Carney. And he looks around like he's looking before to make sure it's safe to cross the street kind of a thing,
Yeah.
He goes, the name is Kazarni. Get it? And I'm like, yeah, I got it, boss. Genius. I love it.